Thank you for tuning in and listening to a presentation of the complexity of endangered species consumption by Micah Dirks, Jeanette Uzamakunda, and Rylan Corby. We hope you enjoy and emerge with a greater understanding of this controversial issue. Over the past few weeks, our group wanted to focus on an issue the class had not yet covered or touched on. Rewrapping and elaborating on a topic we already knew the state of wouldn't expand our knowledge nor perspective. Secondly, we wanted a topic with clear sides and barriers to dissect. However, this came with the condition that there would be no clear moral siding, as having a project with clear good and evil would be simplistic, easy to predict, and undermine what we've learned in this class this whole semester. After some thought, we came up with the issue of the consumption of endangered animals. This issue directly puts cultural and environmental conservation at odds with one another in a time where they're both being threatened by exterior forces, giving a puzzling yet interesting dynamic to the issue. Besides the worldly struggles we are all facing today, our group in the process of completing this project found difficulties due to differing schedules and time zones. On the research side, info on illegal poaching did not provide many hard numbers, given the crime is nearly impossible to attribute accurate numbers on. On the bottom, to ease us in, you have two different types of whaling. You have the Japanese baleen whaling, which is a little bit more commercial, versus on the bottom, Faroese Grindadrap, which is pilot whaling, a tradition we will get more in depth to on the next slide. As we discovered through our research, culture has occasionally caused conservation to overlook species. The bluefin tuna is the most sought-after fish in the world, and unfortunately, despite being endangered and having regulations on catch, is still declining in population. Other notable endangered animals affected by cultural consumption include various species of shark, frogs, and large mammals. While culture does contribute to the decline of some endangered species, economic and societal forces often perpetuate the problem. Low occupational variability and poverty drive people to hunt animals, and the more rural a community is, the more likely bushmeat will be hunted. Many huntsmen in Central Africa believe any game is fair game, and they will take the biggest prize if given the opportunity. Additionally, conservation efforts such as national reserves and national parks often do not get enough funding to properly defend their parks, leading to the capture of endangered animals for ivory, fur, and food. Interestingly, in some cultures and places, if the people do not believe in a law, the community simply won't follow it, so it won't be enforced. Because of the overexploitation of these animals, community markets have halved the number of large game like gazelle and gorillas, and have doubled the amount of small game, such as rats. Furthermore, the consumption of animals not typically eaten by humans is the cause of various zoonotic disease outbreaks in various places around the world. While one might write off environmentalism to be the area the world ought to focus its efforts on, conservation can also overstep. The aforementioned Faroese people of the North Atlantic Ocean were criticized for their pilot whale hunting tradition of Grindadrap when in 2018 they were attempted to be stopped by the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society. The problem is that pilot whales are not endangered, the people who use every bit of the animal, and are dependent on the animals for the vast majority of their history. Ironically, this push against their culture has stirred a renewed pride within the 50,000 who inhabit the archipelago. What has truly been brought center stage is, while at odds, both environmental and cultural conservation face similar problems. Globalization and technology have threatened cultures across the globe, as well as empower the endangered species trade. The increased production has also polluted the environment, including the pilot whales the Faroese hunt, beginning to make them unsafe for human consumption. With these observations in mind, we believe in order to decrease the amount of endangered animals eaten, a wide variety of efforts are needed. First, encouraging those in trade to shift over to tourism and attraction would be an improvement for everyone. Nurse sharks at a diving location in Indonesia were valued to bring in $316,000 each annually, compared to the $6,600 a dead mako, one of the most expensive shark meats, would bring in. Additionally, anthropology and environmentalism should work together. A major flaw with large initiatives and funds for the Earth is that they have trouble connecting on the local level. So, intermingling conservation with anthropology would give it the opportunity to be within a community and possibly influence it. Having small sways within communities would help any relations or local enforcement gain traction. Even with all these changes, the best place to funnel funding is to elevate economies and people out of poverty. This would provide more choices for occupation and prevent people from resorting to eating bushmeat. Those with cultural ties to endangered species in many places have limitations to what they can catch, but are still allowed to. Working to find these balances among various cultures and environmental conservation is key to solving this problem. There is always conflict going on in the world, but clashing with something doesn't necessarily make it your enemy. Cultural and environmental sustainability working together can prevent overexploitation of endangered animals. Allowing cultures different than one's own to persist will enrich the world's understanding of one another and these conservation initiatives. Promoting this mindset and implementing these recommendations will not only protect endangered species, but will cause lives to flourish with a newfound height of quality that we will thrust into the future.